Welcome back to Dreamy Thatch Grove. I am so happy you found your way back here. When it comes to the fear of being seen, I think it's very worth keeping in mind the very roots of it. I think it is a near universal experience, probably, that at some point in your youth, you were rewarded for making yourself small. And more importantly, you're probably at some point punished for being seen authentically. This can come in many forms. This can be from friends or from bullies. It can come from teachers, perhaps more so than anything else. It can come from family and parents. Whatever the source. What it ends up creating is a fear of authenticity. That's the first thing that comes, is a fear of authenticity. And as that develops and worsens with more bad experiences, it morphs into a fear of being perceived at all. I think in the effort to heal that, there's probably some value in, I'm so sorry, but like in being cringe, for lack of a better word. There's something almost buzzwordy about the term cringe now that makes it a little bit less helpful of a term. But even just starting small, starting alone, just you, in the moments where you're completely by yourself, let yourself be a little bit goofy and weird and do like silly shit. What's that phrase that I've read before online? Do not kill the part of you that is cringe, kill the part of you that cringes. I really do think that there's value in that. I've been going back and forth in planning this video with wondering how forthcoming I want to be with this particular topic, how specific, with how it relates to me, I guess. I guess maybe because this is just a more serious topic, but for whatever reason, I guess I'm just in the mood to be more open with you tonight. And I want you to know how deeply I get it. Because I think it can be helpful to know that you are receiving advice from someone who really does understand firsthand. Very basically, I will just say that I have dealt with, for a long time now, I have dealt with some pretty extreme self-isolation. I guess it would probably have to count as straight up agoraphobia, probably. And that's sort of horribly humiliating to admit, even though I know it shouldn't be, but yeah. And to be honest but general, it was very scary and it really hurt my life and my future, my happiness, and my finances for sure. But for me, I would get full-blown panic attacks just being at a grocery store, nothing going on, no stakes, just before I even knew what panic attacks really were. But I would just hyperventilate, just being in a grocery store even, which I would only go to near closing anyway, so it would be less crowded, and I would still find it overwhelming. And it is sort of just very almost embarrassing to be that afraid of being seen and perceived. But I just want you to know that I have experienced a very prolonged and I'll say acute sense of that fear of being perceived, and that it's only really been the last year or so that I have felt able to really delve into that in myself. I've alluded to this in a couple of videos a few times, but it was that delving and inner work that I've done mostly just last year. That was the reason that I even have been able to let myself start posting regularly on this channel, for one thing. And progress with that is, of course, slow, but it is possible, and it has been easier and less scary than I expected it to be almost every step of the way. And the reason I'm telling you all of this is that I want you to hear from someone who's been there that I did not feel capable when I started. You do not have to wait to feel perfectly capable and able and excited about it. You just need the latent desire. And clearly you have that, or you wouldn't have joined me in here today. think really the core of it, in a way, you need to accept the idea that sometimes a thing you believe was actually just originally a thing that you felt. And feeling it made you so scared that you could be right that to protect yourself, your mind automatically decided to accept that feeling as fact. Because that's the best way for it to protect against it. And maybe that sounds backwards, but your nervous system would always rather misery than surprise. That is what survival instinct is, even when the threat is social. Your mind knows that the safest bet is always to assume the worst. And that's how it's so easy to start believing your own worst narratives and start assuming that your feelings and emotional reactions are always factually accurate. So the only way to truly lessen that reaction is to slowly let yourself wonder, like, hey, what if that is less objectively true than I have been telling myself it is? What if that's just a fear of mine and not reality? And I know the first thing your mind is going to try to jump to. It's going to run to the filing cabinet in your brain and to pull out the dossier and point angrily to the real examples that definitely were not just in your head. And I want to be very clear that I'm really not trying to invalidate that or to convince you that you are always wrong or to tell you to forget all of that. I fully believe you. I believe that you have had real moments of being ruthlessly judged or bullied or belittled, unfairly singled out, or maybe taken in bad faith. I believe that you have found out the hard way that something about you was being viewed negatively before you realized that it was, and that it's only an insecurity because of that very real experience. I believe that. Please understand that I'm not saying that all of your feelings of being self-conscious are just in your head and not real. I know that that's not the case. I'm saying that the part of it that's in your head is the part where you latched onto that cruelty that people dealt you and then projected that onto every other person walking on this earth with you. You took someone's opinion, even if it's multiple people, you took someone's opinion and it made you have an emotional reaction, and in order to avoid having to feel the pain of being surprised by that again, you had to canonize both their opinion and your emotional reaction and decide that they are both fact. That those people judged you because they were being perfectly objective. You felt embarrassed because you were being perfectly objective. And now that your mind has chosen to believe that both of those are perfectly objective, its job of shielding you from social pain is far simpler because it just needs avoidance. And it tells you to hide. You gain a kind of safety. You gain a kind of safety in making these extreme assumptions. And I want you to remember that your brain doesn't just release reward chemicals when it gets something positive. You can also experience that neurochemical flood by avoiding something negative. And that sense of relief, those reward chemicals, via that sense of relief, has trained you that this sense of safety is always worth the avoidance, even though you know logically that you don't want to have built yourself this small of a life. I think it comes back to something that I've been bringing up in videos several times lately. And that's the idea of giving yourself precedent. What I mean is that your brain cannot trust what it has not experienced firsthand. And so, if you are giving yourself the precedent that hiding yourself away saves you pain, and never giving yourself the precedent that you often will not feel pain while being seen, or let alone the precedent that you can happily survive experiencing that pain anyway, then if you're not giving yourself those precedents, then of course that reaction is only going to get stronger in you. It's a conditioned response that was both done to you and also is something you do to yourself. And that's what facing your fears does to you. That's you giving yourself the precedent that you can be okay anyway. And in this case, I think it's a matter of first noticing when you are having that emotional reaction. And then having a mentality that you can step back into once you've caught yourself. here's what that looks like in practice, because I'm speaking very generally right now. Sorry, my apologies. Did not mean to bonk you. What that looks like in practice is this. You are out and about. I used the grocery store earlier as an example. You're out of the grocery store and you hear a couple people down the aisle laughing amongst themselves, and your mind remembers an example of you being mocked that started very similarly to that. So it assumes that this is what's happening now, so that it can save you from the pain you once felt when you only found out later that you were the butt of the joke. And so it reverts back to an extreme self-consciousness, and you are left with the feeling that you are being laughed at and that you should run away and hide. But you, as a whole person, are smarter than any one individual reaction you experience. You are multitudes. You are more than just one of those. And so you can realize that that is what's happening in the moment. And you can think to yourself, oh, I'm feeling some type of way about this, even though I technically don't know if they're even laughing at me specifically or not. And then the second thing that you should do is giving yourself a go-to challenging thought to have as a reflex. Once you caught on that that's what you're doing. So I'm going to give you one of those to have right now. And I think of these challenging thoughts, which by that I mean thoughts to challenge your learned reactions. That's what I mean by challenging thoughts. I think of these as kind of mantras, in a way. But they're not mantras in the sense of like, you can do it, believe in yourself, or, I'm not trying to hand you a motivational poster here. I don't think that would be helpful for you. Rather, I want to give you a phrase that you can keep in your mind. And that you can learn to recall as a reflex when you start feeling your emotional reactions rising up. And maybe this is not going to sound as positive and bright as mantras you're used to, but the mantra I'm going to give you today is, oh, that's a weird assumption. I'm so serious. I want that to be a phrase that you can think back to yourself. And so, I'm gonna take a few minutes here to just almost brand this mantra into your energy here until you've got it lodged in there for you to challenge yourself with. And please note that it's not saying that you're 100% guaranteed to be wrong when you're having that, that anxiety flaring up. I'm not giving you the mantra, no one's ever judging you, no one's ever mad at you, everyone loves you, you've never done anything wrong or weird in your life. No. I don't know. Maybe these hypothetical people at the grocery store are laughing at you. I don't know. But the point is, you don't know for sure either. And so it's weird to assume the worst. So, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get right here this little crystal. This is a magical crystal of chilling the hell out. And I'm going to charge it with light. This is quite bright, so feel free to close your eyes for a moment if you'd like. I'm going to charge this up with light for you. Just the idea that, oh, that's a weird assumption for me to be making, actually. And we're going to focus it into your mind. The idea of like, oh, they're laughing at me. It must be me they're laughing at. And it must be specifically because of that thing that I'm already personally ashamed of. You just go, oh, that's a weird assumption. That's a weird assumption. Just letting that idea press into your energy field a bit and into your mind. That's weird of me to assume. That's a weird assumption. The idea that, oh, everyone's staring at me. Well, that's kind of weird to assume, isn't it? Oh, that's a weird assumption. That compliment is actually a lie. They're just saying that to make me feel better. They don't really mean that. Well, that's kind of weird to assume. It's kind of mean to assume, too. That's a weird assumption to make. Or they're making fun of me behind my back. They're just mocking me behind my back when I'm not around. That's weird. That's a weird assumption for me to make, actually. On second thought, that's a weird assumption. It's a weird assumption to make. All my friends secretly hate me. That's weird. That's a weird assumption. Why would I jump to that? That's actually silly now that I think about it. The idea that I'm just annoying everyone and I'm just in the way. Everyone else on this planet had a meeting without me. And they voted and they all decided that I'm cringe. It was unanimous. Warring nations came together on this. Enemies shook hands. They all think I'm embarrassing. Wait, that's crazy to assume. That's a weird assumption for me to make, actually. Oh, that's a weird assumption. others are not. Oh, that's a weird assumption for me to make. There we go. There we go. I just want to solidify that idea in your head so that it's easier for you to recall it when you're having that emotional reaction that tells you to assume the worst about what other people are thinking. People are crazy. You have no idea what they're thinking. Getting my little scissors again. Now that we have that idea in your head, and hopefully the next time you catch yourself getting worked up, you can go, oh, that's right. Oh, that's right, Bryn's that weird crystal near me to make me remember that I may be making kind of a weird assumption. And maybe you won't get to know whether they meant mockery or judgment of you or not. You might not know. And I promise you can get more used to dealing with the not knowing. Now I want you to go ahead and take one nice deep breath in and out, low into the belly, and then slowly out of the mouth. And you can close your eyes if you haven't already. And I'm just going to be snipping and plucking out some of the beliefs and assumptions. I'm going to gently remove the belief that being seen is unsafe or scary for you. Cutting away the instinct to hide before anyone can judge me. Cutting away the instinct to beat all of your bullies to the punch. Getting rid of that. I'm releasing the version of you that learned young that it's safer for you to stay small. Not everyone who looks at you is looking at you for your flaws. I'm releasing that belief for you. I'm removing the habit of bracing every time you share something. You don't need to brace. You can lower your shoulders, unclench the jaw. You don't need to be braced. Breathe out again with this. Breathe out and picture letting go of the belief that you are just too much. You're not too much. You're not too much. And I think that's such a stupid criticism. Because it's not even a good insult. You can't even be specific about too much of what. That's a terrible insult. You are not too much. I am pulling out the memories, the comments that have stuck around on you like burdock longer than they should have. I am removing the voice in your head that isn't even your own, that is someone else's. They can keep that shit to themselves. They can take that back. I'm pulling out the fear of being misunderstood. I'm pulling out the assumption that you will be misunderstood. I am removing that assumption. Let that go bit by bit. I am removing the expectation that everyone else has to get it, has to get you. You are allowed to be seen imperfectly. And you are allowed to be interpreted differently than you intended. It's okay. That is normal and natural. I understand it is frustrating. It's okay to be frustrated. I understand. But you do not need universal approval to be worthy of sharing yourself. I'm gonna get something else now. I'm gonna get these, my little tweezers, and get a little bit closer if that's alright. A little bit more detailed. And take away the fear, the reluctance to share yourself before you feel ready, before you feel like it's perfect. There we go. You are allowed to share things with people before you have perfected it. Not everyone will resonate, and that doesn't mean that you shouldn't speak. Your work, your output, especially if you're a creative person who wants to share things, wants to make things, but you're just stuck in that fear. Your work does not have to justify your existence. And you were never supposed to be for everyone. You don't need to and couldn't possibly please everyone. Going to kind of clear away the dust we're kicking up in you. this fear. And I want to gently start removing this core belief that there is something innately and immutably wrong with you. Because that is not true. Breathe that out. Just a little bit at a time. We're not going to get it all out today, and that's okay. But just breathe into this moment with me. Let yourself let go a little bit of that belief that there's just something innately bad and wrong about how you are and who you are. Breathe that out. There we go. And your body has learned to tense itself up. Whenever eyes are on you, and we're going to teach it new reactions. You need to, on purpose, lower the shoulders, let them move backwards just a little bit so you're not inched in on yourself. You can unclench your jaw. You do not need to brace for impact. Nothing bad is going to happen. Not truly. If you can survive going so long being unseen, I promise you can survive being seen as well. Because we are social creatures by nature. And the pain of isolation is very unnatural for us to experience. It is safe to let people know that you exist. I'm going to get my little brush here, brush away the last little bits of it all for you. It is safe to let people know you exist. It is safe to show your work and your vision with other people. It's okay for you to be witnessed. visibly take up space. It's okay for you to ask for attention. I know a lot of us, when we were very little, all of our pleas for attention, because attention, mind you, is a basic human need. But a lot of us, when we were little, all of your pleas for attention were dismissed. The idea of attention-seeking behavior is derogatory, and I think that is a huge mistake. And if someone forms a negative opinion about you, your world will not end. If someone takes you in bad faith and misinterprets what you mean, you are not responsible for managing other people's reactions or their perceptions of you. And that's a little bit more nuanced than I'm making it out to be. But I think right now that's a helpful way for you to think of it. You can't micromanage people's perception of you. Not really. I want you to know that being seen isn't always a matter of performance. It is an experience. You are an experience. You don't have to shrink yourself down just because someone is watching you. And you don't need to edit yourself into safer or more manageable versions of you. You can stop apologizing for who and what you are. You can stop apologizing. The fear of being seen is not who you are. It is something you have learned. And anything learned can be unlearned. You are here. And you are allowed to be witnessed and to share and to exist out loud. And you are safe to do so now. And you can handle that fear. You are capable. You can now drift off into dreams or remain just as you are, whatever you like. And as always, you are free to stay right here with me as long as you